Keshav is working in an IT services company, TCS, Wipro, Infosys, one of them, and he has a client call right now. The client is talking to him like this. Hey Keshav, why? Why did you not complete the work? I clearly communicated what you should have done. This should have been complete 2 days back. And Keshav is trying to answer and say that, hey, this is the problem. But the client immediately cut off and said,
Keshav, let's talk after the stand-up. We should not be wasting others' time.
Guys, we all know in general, services sector employees are not treated very well by the clients. But before jumping into what are the problems these IT services sector employees face, we need to understand what is the root cause of this entire issue. And I personally believe this starts when these Infosys or CTS or Wipros of the world, when they go ahead and start talking to these clients for the very first time itself. What do they sell? They will go to these clients and say, hey, we have 5,000, 10,000 employees sitting in our India office. They are really good, talented people. And also, they are cheap resources. Yes, they do say that they are cheap resources. They are telling the other person that, hey, these are just your support staff. That's all. When the client starts off with this attitude, a variety of problems come into the picture. And the first problem that comes up is with respect to availability. Well, what happens during the typical day of an IT services sector employee? Let's start off the day at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. They have a stand-up call with their on-site team. This is about discussing what they have done throughout the day, what are the issues they have faced, and if they need any support. The call goes on from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., something along those lines, if the team is based in San Francisco or on the west coast of US. And after 11 p.m., some of these calls will still continue if the situation happens like what Keshav has faced. And then they have to log back in again at 8:30 a.m. because they need to hear back what the client has to say, what the client did the previous day. And then they move on and continue with their rest of the day. And now, on top of that, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, all these guys are asking their employees to come to work 5 days a week. Now you see, you are working till 11 p.m. and you start your day at 8:30 a.m. How many hours are you working? It is definitely more than 70 hours a week. And when Mr. Narayan Murthy proposed this 70 hours a week, of course he would do that. There is no wonder because Infosys was one of the founding pillars of this IT services sector in India. And this has been built on these 70 hours, 80 hours work week concepts. And then it stems into the second issue, that is communication. Of course, the perception is that, hey, these guys are cheap resources. So if they face a problem, they can wait because it is not going to financially impact the client as much. But if the client faces a problem, client will immediately call Keshav and say, hey, why are you not responding? You need to respond back in 5 minutes. And Keshav has no option but to respond even if it is 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. But if Keshav is stuck on a problem, he just needs to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And all of a sudden the client will ask, hey, why did you not finish this problem? And if Keshav doesn't respond, it's an escalation with the Infosys or Cognizant manager. Now the third issue that comes up with this attitude is that client consider themselves as gods and they treat all the rest of these contractors or IT services employees as subordinates or juniors or people who don't know anything. And they don't like to share access to their databases, to their codes, to their development environments, or to anything that is considered to be important. Now, I have seen personally situations where the contractors or the IT services employees are way more intelligent than the clients themselves, but they cannot open their mouth. They have to shut their mouth, and that's the feedback that they will receive from their managers. Infosys manager or TCS manager will tell Keshav, the developer in that company, that hey, please do not speak up. Client is the god. We have to win trust from these guys. And that is how the conversations go. So please don't even expect any kind of support from the manager himself or herself. The fourth issue that stems from this is the lack of professionalism. The tone of communication is very, very rude. Hey, I already told you, why did you not complete the work? I clearly communicated these issues with you. When should I expect? Why are you not available? There is a lack of professionalism when they communicate. And also, they do not do the basic support that is required for somebody to onboard and start working on the project itself. If there is a VPN issue, they have to wait. If they need to even get a laptop, forget about VPN. If they have to get a laptop itself, they have to wait for the client team to get that free time either on a Friday evening or some other time so that they can get that laptop and start working. I personally worked at Accenture, an IT services company, and I faced these problems. I also worked at McKinsey, which is a services company but in the management consulting space, but I did not face a lot of these problems because McKinsey consultants are not sold by McKinsey as cheap labor. They are sold as intellectual power horses, and hence a lot of these issues are out straight away. Now then, the $1,000,000 question that you would be asking me is, okay, how does this improve? What do I do personally as an employee? The first thing that I would propose is, if you are a client, understand that tables will turn around. If you are working for Facebook, Google, or any product-based company, and if you have some of these contractors or IT services company guys supporting you, please treat them as equals, because if you are laid off, you might have to work for the services company again. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The second point that I would personally request is, if you are working in one of these service-based companies, see if there are any roles in product-based companies. Absolutely, without any question, do that. Because the entire ecosystem itself is set up that way. So you need to see for yourself if there is a way out. The third thing that I would propose is, this is a chain reaction. You do what your manager does to you. Similarly, your juniors will do what you do. So cut that chain somewhere or the other, both from the client side and also from within your own team. Support them, tell them, talk to them, and also reflect on their comments and go to the client and tell that, hey, this should not work this way. Please don't treat yourself as cheap labor. Please bring up these issues. You never know, somebody might be willing to listen to your problems. And finally, most important thing, if you can't control any of these things, understand that this job is not a permanent job. You are not married to this company. You can switch anytime, so please don't take these things to heart. If you are not able to break the chain, it is absolutely fine. Just look out for another opportunity and don't unnecessarily stress out yourselves. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.